It's my pleasure to introduce CJ Anders, and I know that many of you already know CJ. She has extensive knowledge about Telos worker proposal system. Now, CJ has worked with the Telos launch group. She has also worked as a writer and a marketing consultant for many of the EOSIO BPs, the block producers, as well as EOS Alliance and Warbly Foundation. Well, welcome, CJ, and we are excited to have you here. And I think a lot of people want to submit a worker proposal, want to get involved in Telos, and they don't know where to start. And it's great to have a great resource like you, and we are excited to hear what you want to share with us.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Is that working?
Yes, it is. It is.
I think that's working. Okay. So Telos works. I'm nervous and excited to be talking. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Telos and why Telos works is so important. So my presentation starts off about Telos a little bit. One of the things about Telos is that the vision is to unite purpose-driven people. And as you can see, to build movements that make the world a better place. And Telos Works is one of the key components of that vision that's already yielding results. The blockchain market is huge, and in 2017 it was 708 million. Global spending in 2019, $2.1 billion. Expected global market by 2025 is 28 billion. It is huge. So what makes Telos so great? Many of you already know this, but I'm just going to say it. We are super fast, no transaction speeds. It's scalable, over 4,000 transactions per second and counting. It's decentralized. We have built-in governance, and if you've been watching today, you know more about that because there are so many components that that make Telos really special. And then also it's green, it's good for the planet. It's 17,000 times more energy efficient than Ethereum. There's just a little competition analysis here of the different networks that are out there and how Telos measures up from these things that I just pointed out. Telos is built for success. There are so many different things about it, but third generation blockchain network, programmable smart contracts, high performing, transparent infrastructure partners. Our block producers are known. We have more than 100 active core developers between the Telos core developers and Block One that are continually building and improving the network. Built-in dispute resolution system. I think we heard about that earlier today. Industry-leading platform-level governance tools. D-Store, you just heard about that. Ongoing grants and development funding from 3 independent sources. It's powered by EOSIO. And we never had an ICO or token sale. And then the last thing is the built-in network development program. That's Telos Works. Telos Works is a program built into the network from its inception to provide perpetual funding for development and growth. It's one of the cornerstones of the foundation for a new global economy. Any Telos token from anywhere in the world can create and submit a works proposal that will in some way help develop and grow the Telos network and earn income in the process. And from an economic standpoint, it's kind of a big, huge game changer because when you're struggling to find work, you can create your own work on this network. And as the network grows, that will become, and we're in very early days now, but that's going to change as more and more communities and groups form on this network. We are building a system that will allow multiple works systems based in each different varying community to create their own program. So it's very exciting. this just shows the growth. Telos started with 120 people and has, as of, I think this was from December, over 200,000 new accounts created in the last year. Applications, more than 60 are growing, and this is ongoing. And you can see just all the things that are happening on Telos is fantastic, kind of amazing growth. Long term, we have Block 1 and all of its assets behind continuing to build the EOS.IO software that Telos is built on. Now, that brings us to TelosWorks, this built-in network development program. The statistics, as of January 20th, which was yesterday, there have been 106 proposals created. Currently, there are 17 pending. 14 have failed, and 75 have passed with at least one cycle. We have distributed over 10 million tokens in the last, it hasn't even been a full year since the TelosWorks launched. And you can see here the different kinds of proposals that have been created. 46% have been marketing and promotion. Network development here is the 17%. Application and tools, 3% for user education, and 6% for-profit application development. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is best practices in creating a proposal. If you look at this chart here, you'll see that there are kind of large number of proposals have been around marketing and promotion, whether that's marketing the way that we have done marketing proposals, social media type things, also different presentations and publications, and then also a big chunk that is going to development of tools and applications, and then actual network development. What's been really interesting, and I didn't do the very first proposal on the network, but the change in the types of proposals that have come, and also the kind of the quality of proposals that have been proposed from then until now. So right here, I just want to talk a little bit about best practices, and these are I just want to say these are my recommendations, and they're not absolutely not required at this point, but in my experience, it's a lot better for gaining support if you kind of do these few things. So one is making sure that you connect with the TelosWorks community and the Telos community in general. It's really important to know what is happening on the network and what is being built, and know how to, why that's important is that a lot of times someone's building something and someone else is like, oh, I'm gonna build something that's already being built or is already underway, or maybe would be a great thing to collaborate with. And if you're not connected to the community, you're just not gonna get support. And so I think that's really important. Also know and be able to explain how your project is going to benefit the network. So be able to answer those questions and really understand that this system is built to improve Telos. And I know we've all seen projects that have come along and sought proposal funds for things that aren't necessarily directly Telos related, or they might be like somewhat Telos related, or they might be really focused on something else. And some of those projects have been funded, and that's okay. But as time goes on, there's a limited, it's not an infinite amount of funds. So as time goes on, the competition is going to get stiffer. And I really believe that token holders who are interested in supporting Telos and making Telos be the best that they can be are going to choose and support proposals that do that, not proposals that are supporting other networks or might support other networks. Not to say that we won't, but I think that it's definitely a talking point in the community for that. So I would say also socialize your project, get to know, if you're new in the community, or if you are curious and you are interested in building something, but you maybe don't know what, or you have some ideas, talk about it to some people and get feedback, because there's actually a lot of people in this community that are fantastic and will help you get where you want to go. So be open to both hearing and incorporating feedback into your proposal. I've seen some proposals that were like, hey, that's not going to happen, nobody likes that idea. And then seeing people completely go, hey, I thought about what you said, and here's my response, and really being thoughtful and willing to incorporate what is important into the token holders and the network as a whole. Also, I would say really important is to create a professional proposal and expect a high level of scrutiny. So if you are, think of it this way, you're either the token holders are like your customers, or they're like your boss, and you're trying to get them to hire you to do something. So if that's the case, then put your best foot forward. Be available for questions, include numbers. What's the basis for your pricing? Explain your plan for the tokens that you receive. Are you gonna hold them? Are you gonna liquidate them at market rates? It's okay. Whatever you're gonna do, just be willing and okay with answering those questions, because people care about that stuff. And just provide as much information as possible. It's a big deal to be transparent in this space, and so I think that goes a long way, and that matters a lot. I would say that it's really important from the standpoint of, I think one of the things that we've done, Roman and Anders, since the beginning of our first proposal, which I think was early April of 2019. So getting close to a year now when we created our first proposal. And I think that one of the things that we did really early on was try to create for ourselves, and from a marketing standpoint, it's a little bit challenging. It's actually kind of a lot challenging, but to come up with things and still remain flexible with the way that we were doing our work. Like when something would come up, oh, we're gonna create deliverables that are measurable. And obviously when you're creating like graphic design or doing that sort of work, those are measurable deliverables, but sometimes you don't know what the future holds. And when you're creating a proposal and you're putting forward this thing, you're asking for, you're creating a plan about what you're going to do, and you don't necessarily always know exactly how that's going to pan out, because maybe you're going to make 4 press releases, but there's only 3 announcements that month. So how do you explain those deliverables? One of the things that we worked really hard at was reporting and responding at the end of our proposal, at the end of each cycle in our proposal, with providing and creating a report. And we haven't seen a ton of that. Definitely there are a lot of people who do proposals and present deliverables at the end, but there are still a lot more that also don't do that at all. And our plan was, let's try to lead by example. It hasn't always worked out, but I think that that's important to be able to explain in your proposal what you're planning to deliver, how you're planning to deliver it, why does it cost whatever it is that you're asking for it to cost, and then be ready to answer those questions when they come. The other thing is, and I just talked about this a little bit, but know that you are essentially asking token holders to hire you to do a job. So treat it like a job interview to work on Telos, and not some other network, because these are the Telos token holders that are going to decide whether or not you get funding. Okay, so Next, I just wanted to give a little tutorial about how to create or submit a proposal on Squirrel. And I realized that in the not too distant future that this is actually going to be changing a little bit, or maybe kind of a lot, but for now, until the new system, the new editions go live, this is how it's done. So assuming that you have Squirrel and you already have an account with Telos, you need to make sure that your proposal, your account is loaded with the 3% of your first cycle. So there's a lot of confusion around this, and I just want to really clarify this. The submission fee is a deposit that you pay when you make a proposal, and it's 3%. It's not 3% of your total proposal, unless your total proposal is for only one cycle. So if you have a proposal for 12 cycles and it's 100 telos, this is how good I am at math. If you have 100 telos a month for 12 cycles, you are submitting 3 telos for your deposit. So that it's 3%. That's how I know that, 100. Anyway, so you also need to make sure you have enough RAM, which generally I think everybody does, and maybe you don't have to worry about that with the Squirrel token. But if you don't have enough resources, your proposal won't go through. So just make sure you have some in there, enough in there. So step 1, make sure you have the latest Squirrel. Obviously, this screenshot is not the latest Squirrel, but make sure that it works, that you have the right one. Step 2, make sure you're connected to Telos mainnet and that you have the wallet that you are going to use for it, and then unlock your wallet, you put in your password, you go on. And the next step is go to the governance tab of your Squirrel wallet, click on proposals, and then click submit new proposal. Squirrel really makes this very, very easy. Step 4, you go through and you fill out the form. My awesome proposal, how much I'm asking for, what the account is that you're going to be using, and how many cycles that you're going to be doing. Step 5 is you go back and now you review your submission and either, well, I guess I have the wrong image in here. I'm so sorry. There's another screenshot here that should be here that's not. So it gives you the option to go back or to confirm and submit the proposal. And I will actually fix this and make it available on our website when this is over. But that's it. You submit your proposal, and then once you're done, you go to the proposals tab, and I don't have a screenshot for this, but you go to the proposals tab again, and you click the orange box next to your proposal on the right side of the screen, and then you click start ballot, and then it's done. If you don't click start ballot, you are not. Your proposal will have some kind of deadline like 50 years into the future. So that's it. It's really pretty simple. The hard part is actually creating a proposal that is worthy of receiving votes. And that's not to say anybody's ideas are not good ideas. They might be great ideas, but they might not be a proposal that's professional enough to get votes. And I think that as time goes on, that's going to get a lot more difficult. And that brings us to kind of the new things that are coming with Works in the next probably week or so. I believe that I just talked to Craig this morning about this, and these things are going to be in testing or are getting tested starting this week on the testnet. So milestones are going to be replacing what we know now as cycles. And so for a multi-cycle or milestone proposal, funds are now going to be released to passing cycles or votes on submission of a report that details the milestone success and how they intend to use the new funding for the next milestone. So when a proposal is approved, the contract will earmark their total requested amount. If a milestone fails the vote, then the funding is returned to the worker proposal system. If a proposal fails 2 milestones in a row, it will be automatically canceled. Another cool thing that's happening is that the new system contracts have been written to allow for future expansion to use other tokens. So if we, the community, wants that, this means that tokens on D-side could tap into our works and amend features as well. So this goes back to building this infrastructure for communities that are separate from the work system, that can be kind of in their own silo on the network, but using their own token and creating their own work proposal system with their own rules and features set up however they want, which is really super exciting. We are building for a really big future that has a great deal of diverse options. Other communities and projects, what I just said, on the network can now run their own work proposal system and document amendments alongside ours with 0 extra coding. And then another really great thing is that the works categories which have been added. And so now all proposals can be easily sortable. So you saw in one of the previous ones where they had categorized the proposals into kind of some general groups like marketing and development and for-profit, different things like that. So those are actually going to be incorporated into the system contract, so that when people submit a proposal, they're going to actually be selecting what type of what the category is for that, which will just make working through that from a voting standpoint just a lot easier. Okay, so questions.
Those were all great points. So it was a great presentation. So to recap, if any of you have a great idea and want to build on Telos, please do submit a worker proposal. And as CJ mentioned, the first thing you want to do is to connect with the community. So all the Telos people are on Telegram, so that's where we all connect. So it's best to connect there, and also the Telos Works Telegram channel, put forward a proposal there and ask feedback from community members, and CJ and Katie, and there is so many people there in the community who are always helpful, and they can guide you through the process. And once you have something like a PDF file, and as CJ showed you, it's very easy to submit the proposal. So there is Squirrel, and special thanks to Marlon. It is so easy interface to use. It's absolutely quite easy to use. Now, once you have these proposals, there is a place where you can see them. I just wanted to show you this site, the chainspector.io, which has there is a section here for the worker proposal, where you can actually read everything about the worker proposal. Is this somewhere here? Governance? No, it should be in the dashboard, I think. Let me check here. So
I think it's governance.
Governance. So let's check. That's where you can see. Yeah, there it is. So we have the scatter worker proposal, for example. So if you click on the details, now this is actually connecting to the IPFS, and you can download this file and you can view it as a PDF file. So it's really great. But for some reason, this is not showing up here. So let me check one more. There should be, yes. Let's see this one here. So there's details. Usually there is a PDF file just like this. It comes up right here, and you can download this and read the entire thing. And all this is on PDF. So that's a great resource to have. There is a question from Katie, I think. So let's see. Let's see what does that mean. We could work for Boss, EOS, etc. if someone makes a pool for it. How will milestones work for marketing? So I think CJ can answer this.
So for marketing, milestones will be really, really interesting. in the past, we've always done proposals where we were actually seeking to kind of pre-plan the work that we were doing. And then, so we're going to do, we're going to make all these deliverables and we're going to do all this stuff. This is the plan. And then you hope people will go, okay, yeah, we want you to do that. And then we're going to pay you, we're going to vote, and then you get prepaid. So essentially what's going to happen now is we will do our proposal. And I think this is really interesting because I've had a conversation with Craig about this and trying to understand. It feels kind of scary, I think, for people to say, okay, I have to do this work before I get paid, and what if people don't want to pay me for it? and so that's kind of a reality of working in this space, is that you kind of have to be willing to do that. And I know that that's definitely been that's been an interesting thing for us, particularly from a marketing standpoint, because we've actually worked, like, for instance, we did a proposal in October for, we started a proposal in October for November and December, but things were shifting so much that we didn't actually make the proposal until the beginning of November. Actually, I think it was like maybe November 5th or 6th or something like that. And so we ended up actually working the entire month of November without knowing for certain that if our proposal was going to pass. And that's a little bit scary, but at the same time, I think that it's important to understand that that's a risk of working in this space. And I think that better for the entire system that everybody is willing to kind of put that work and that effort in and be willing to prove themselves. So at what that looks like for marketing proposals is you're going to be doing just that. You're going to be doing the work and then submitting. You'll be submitting and doing the work at the same time, unless you want to do a system where you propose something and then go work for a month and then submit your proposal and then wait and then prove your deliverables, get paid, and then make another proposal. You cannot you can't have a multi-system or multi-proposal, a multi-cycle or multi-milestone proposal that doesn't, what's the word? That the voting you can't start the next milestone until you've completed the first milestone, which means you will have to submit a report and prove that you've done what you said. And then when you do that, you'll be able to receive your tokens. So I hope that answers that question. There's a lot of words.
And I think Kate had another question, something about can someone work for BOSS or EOS if someone makes a pool for it? I'm not sure that I understand the question, but as CJ said, it's if someone is submitting a proposal for Telos, ideally we would like them to work for Telos, right, CJ?
Yeah, I think that would be a really hard, and maybe I'm not understanding the question either, but I think that would be a really hard sell to pay people in Telos that they probably are just going to want to liquidate and then take their project and launch it on some other network. Obviously, there are some projects out there that will work on multiple networks, and maybe they should get those networks to fund them as well. We have I think that what's going to happen on Telos is that the network is going to, and the token holders are probably going to be more laser focused on projects that actually benefit the Telos network and grow the Telos network, which is what the work system is all about and what it's for.
Yes, and we did fund initially some projects that were not entirely for Telos, right? Like the World Proof, for example, right? It was
Right.
a very successful one, and it brought Telos to the mainstream because the World Proof itself, it was very popular. So it's always a good publicity for us to have funded this project, although it's not directly related to Telos. Is that right?
Right. Well, no, you can actually you can actually, if you have a WordPress site, you can write it's basically timestamp your project, your post or whatever on the Telos blockchain. I think that that project actually only netted has only netted about 100, little over 100 accounts created on the Telos network. So expensive. It was an expensive project, but
it gave international recognition, right? I think the WordProof founder gave some presentation in
sure,
the WordPress conference, which was attended by some 1,000 people or something like that, right? It was a good
sure.
exposure for Telos.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there are some projects like that may get funded, but as you said, as time progresses, more and more people in Telos would want these proposals to be related to Telos. Right?
Yeah, I think that's going to happen, and I think that what we're building is actually going to create a tighter funnel that leads people to do just that. I think that the new changes that are coming are going to be really exciting. What Craig told me and what we talked about and the things I've seen, it's going to be really neat, and I think we should. I look forward to seeing. I think it's going to raise the bar for Telos Works proposals in a new way that's going to actually create a much higher level of reporting and proposing. So I think this is going to be really exciting.
And I think there was one more question. What the new features of Telos Workers, when it's going to go live? I think maybe in a few weeks, right, CJ?
Actually, I was just saying that they're testing it on the testnet this week, and so depending on how that goes, if there's any issues, but a few days to a week, I think we'll see that. And what's going to happen? I should have mentioned this. What's going to happen is that the proposals that are existing right now on the old system are going to be grandfathered. They're going to run, and this is why it's taking a little bit more time, I think, because they are going to be running both systems, the new system and the old system, on the network at the same time. So the old proposals that are still running, they're not going to be deleted. Nobody's going to get rid of them. They will be able to remain on that old system, and then we will turn off the ability to create proposals in that old system, and people will begin using the new system. So when that happens, they'll run side by side, and so that's how that's going to work when that happens. But it should happen very soon.
Well, thank you so much, CJ. It's a very useful presentation, and I hope everybody got something out of it. Thank you so much for taking the time to be part of this event.
Thank you for asking me.